My family, hi, welcome to another one on Truth and Love the Church with your brother Joseph, where we speak the truth in love. So I just hope that I don't get into trouble, with this video, okay? So I was just watching the Global Day of Prayer, 27th of June, 2020, by the man of God, Reverend Dr. Chris Oyakilome. I actually noticed that some of the things he said are actually starting to play out. Let me just share with you a small snippet. I'll be interrupting here and there, just, bringing some context into what you'll be saying.
The Lord's guiding me to do something more because of what's going on in the world. Let me tell you something. Why we have to take what we're doing so seriously. The Bible tells us we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Yes, sir.
And I've shared this with you again and again. You have to know what's going on. If you don't know, do you know how many leaders of nations regret some of the actions they took in misleading their country? A lot of them didn't do what they did because they wanted to. They were misled. And they did something that was terribly wrong. Misled their country, misled their city, misled their state. How important it is for God's people to pray. Many countries are not being led by the state actors, the state officials. No. For example, I told you about these laws and bills for laws to be enacted that were sent to many countries. The same template. Sent out to many countries. Some of them immediately passed those bills into law when the people were afraid and locked up in their homes.
So my family, we actually know what he's talking about, right? He's talking about the pandemic, that took place late 2019 to 2020, 2021 and thereabout, right? So he's actually talking about all these players, the Faucis of the world and some of these others, the Bill Gateses and all those guys.
Most of you never knew what was going on. A lot of the media practitioners, pressmen, journalists who were promoting this hoax didn't even know what was there. Some of them never saw a copy of those bills. They never read them. And those who design these documents, they know what to do. They put a lot of irrelevant things in there. It's so big. And when you look at the subject, and you got 2 weeks within which to pass the bill. You look at it, it's so heavy. You say, I just have to trust that our experts knew what they were doing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They don't know nothing. They're destroying the country.
No, sir. You don't.
You said, I told you. God said, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. If you lack knowledge, you'll be a victim in life without even knowing you're a victim. Why are nations going in the direction they don't realize? Let me tell you, the truth of the matter is, most of the global organizations that we think are out there to help, I always say, if you want to know the purpose of an organization, don't just read what they said they're doing, look at what they are doing. It was a hoax. It was something that was played on the whole world. And billions of dollars were spent all over the world. And nobody asked the question at the end of the day when things weren't what they said they would be. When I said from the very beginning, it came out of a lab. There were those who said, why, Pastor Grace? How can Pastor Grace say that? I said, tell me where the viruses come from. Are they produced just like that in nature? Are they given birth to? But later on you found out that's exactly what happened. That's what happened. And I said China was a scapegoat. That's what I said. Because they didn't produce it. Somebody else produced it. Took it to China. Released it from China. If you doubt what I said, go and do your own investigation if they let you come out of China alive. But what I told you is the truth. You say, Pastor Chris, how do you know? By revelation.
And he actually went on to prophetically expose some certain people who didn't know what they were doing, but they were just making up laws, that sadly the entire world ended up, following.
And I'm calling on leaders of different nations to immediately start thinking for their country now, in your nation's interest. Why? Because the current players of global international relations are not state actors. Neither do they want to be. Their plan, they want to destroy nation states. And I showed that to you when I was talking to you about the prince of Assyria and his modus operandi. It's clear from the Bible. I read those things to you. So the plan is to destroy nationhood. So those of you who are leaders right now and you are playing along with this thing, ask yourself, where are these bills coming from? Ask yourself, the guidance you're getting, where is it coming from? It's not coming from another country. It's not coming from a group of countries. It's coming from non-state players. Leaders of nations are invited and told what to do. By supposedly, they're supposed to be called experts, but they are not experts. Read between the lines. They're not experts.
And how true all this was, I just want you to follow through some of these clips I managed to get for you.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated. Yeah. Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological and they get vaccinated.
That's exactly what you meant when you said making it hard for people to live without getting a vaccination. You affected people's ability to work, travel, be educated, to actually flourish in American society, to self-determine, as we're all given God-given rights. Shame on you. You inspired and created fear through mass mandates, school closures, vaccine mandates that have destroyed the American people's trust in our public health institutions.
First of all, I didn't recommend locking anything down. And the record will show, Neil, that we didn't recommend shutting everything down. I recommended to the president that we shut the country down. And that was a very difficult decision because I knew it would have serious economic consequences, which it did.
Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci?
I am a scientist who uses the scientific method to gain information.
Yes or no?
No, that's not a yes or no
Yes,
answer.
it's a yes or no.
I don't think it is.
Okay, well, we'll take that as a you don't know what you represent. You confess that you made up the COVID rules, including
I didn't hear what you
6
said.
feet social distancing and masking of children.
I never said I made anything up.
You admitted that you made it up. You made it up
I didn't say
as you went.
I made it up.
So are you saying this is fake news, Mr. Fauci?
I didn't say I made anything up.
What did you say?
I said that it is not based in science and it just appeared.
But you also told the American people they had to distance by 6 feet. They had to wear masks. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor. You're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. That man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be revoked, and he belongs in prison.
Suspend.
This was a time in history where you got to throw out the first pitch at the Washington Nationals baseball game, while Americans were forced to stay home and watch such events that they love from at home alone on their televisions. And what a hypocrisy this picture shows. Here you are without your mask, with empty seats everywhere. Remember the cardboard cutout fans? That was one of the most insulting things to Americans, having to watch the games from home where you got to go and enjoy the game and sit right next to people not following the 6 feet of distancing, not wearing your mask, and everyone else was forced to stay home and stop enjoying life. And your science here, your science is displayed perfectly in this picture, where children in school were put in plastic bubbles because of your science, your repulsive, evil science. And let's go back to your very own email. You said earlier you don't use email. Oh, you do. Right here. This is your own email where you said the typical mask you buy in the drugstore is not really effective in keeping out virus. I do not recommend that you wear a mask. This is your email. This is your own words. But yet children all over America were forced to wear masks. Healthy children forced to wear masks, muzzled in their schools. And then they were forced to learn from home because of your so-called science and your medical suggestions, while you and all your cronies get paid from Big Pharma. You know that what this committee should be doing? We should be recommending you to be prosecuted. We should be writing a criminal referral because you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. You belong in prison.
And if I remember correctly, this is what Pastor Chris Kilome said about people like this, the Dr. Fauci's of the world.
It's time for leaders of nations to immediately start thinking for their country. Think for your country now and do what's best for your country. And stop accepting these crazy ideas that are coming from these non-state actors who will not be responsible for the terrible things they're doing to nations, the destruction of lives, livelihoods. And I said, they'll be called to account.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You watch. You watch.
So this prophecy was released 27th of June, 2020. And in light of these things that took place with Sleepy Joe, that is the former president of America, Joe Biden, who gave these people last-minute presidential pardons, You remember, right?
This coming in just now into our Live Now from Fox Studios, President Biden issuing preemptive pardons to Fauci, Milley, and others.
And in breaking news, we're actually hearing that President Trump is intending to overturn all those pardons.
Donald Trump just declared all of the pardons that Joe Biden gave out to be completely void. He just put out this statement right here. It says the pardons that Sleepy Joe Biden gave to the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect, because of the fact that they were done by auto pen. So in other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he didn't even know anything about them. These necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. Therefore, those on the Unselect Committee who destroyed, deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. This is significant because if you remember correctly, the media spent all this time trying to convince us that that Trump was going to pardon everyone in his family, but he never did. Instead, what happened was 4 years later, Biden went and gave pardons to everyone in his family and everyone that he's associated with, people like Anthony Fauci. But now it turns out it wasn't even him signing the papers. So who was signing the papers? Who was our president for the last 4 years? This is crazy.
So in light of what President Trump is actually doing, my family, overturning these pardons, I just failed to share with you Pastor Chris's words on the 27th of June, 2020.
This is no game. It's time for leaders of nations to immediately start thinking for their country. Think for your country now and do what's best for your country. And stop accepting these crazy ideas that are coming from these non-state actors who will not be responsible for the terrible things they're doing to nations, the destruction of lives, livelihoods. And I said, they'll be called to account.
Yes, sir.
And from the looks of things, my family, it's about to happen. It also reminds me of the prophecy that was released by Prophet Tomi Arayomi, where he talked about the judgment of Big Pharma.
God is judging Big Pharma in 2025. And it starts with one man, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. 2024 was the year of God's judgment on the media. We saw top leaders resigning, CNN and major companies selling off their assets. And I told you the judgment wasn't over. This year, God is coming for Big Pharma. Take a look at this.
The Lord says, I'm going back to 2018, 2019, 2020, and I'm going to uncover years of violations. And I will command her spirit of pharmakia to be exposed, and her drugging and fentanyl and over-the-counter medication and COVID and antibiotics and vaccines to be exposed. For this will be the year where my sword will be drawn against the spirit of pharmakia, and I will set my eyes with rage upon that principality. For in 2024, I set my campaign to rout out your Jezebel media, but in 2025, I will begin a campaign to rout out your Big Pharma.
So I just felt to share this with you, my family, that we had Pastor Chris mention some of these things that are about to happen. And when you were saying all these things in the year 2020, 2021, a lot of people were actually criticizing him, persecuting him, because he was the main person who came out to say these things boldly, But we are now seeing that everything he said was actually the truth. So I just want to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. God bless you.